it yourself. And so the things that the teachers learned is current state-of-the-art technology circa 1985. So that's pretty sweet, except for it has no practical application today. So the second thing, while they're teaching you that stuff, so thanks Fortran. Anyone Fortran people learn Fortran? Okay, there's a couple of things. That was wonderful, very useful education.
Hey, scientific computing.
The last hashtag on this one, how do you make an app? So there's a parallel problem here, which is while the college is teaching about advanced data structures and outdated programming languages, they're not teaching about the practical things that the tech industry needs today. So you have people that graduate with computer science degrees that don't know how to make a website, or they don't know how to build a mobile app. That stuff's kind of important today. And you have people in electrical and computer engineering that never learned how to solder. So those are some flaws with the current college space. Now, I'll tell you, I graduated from college twice, so take it for what it is. Next, so this was mentioned in the first talk slightly. So the number one thing for you to get out of college is confidence. And the reason why I say that is because of that little asterisk on the bottom. You'll forget literally everything else. So I'm about 10 years out. And you guys are, you've made it through freshman year most likely. Just think back to some of those classes that you had freshman year. There will be concepts that if I put a problem in front of you today, you'll have no idea how to do it. Now, that trend continues. So next, you'll forget, not just the minutia of the concepts, but the concepts themselves. It'll be like you never learned in the first place. And it goes further to the point where you'll eventually not be able to remember the names of the teachers who taught the classes that you had. And then the last thing to go, and this has already happened for me, you won't even be able to recognize the course name of the class. So
it's like he's reading my mind.
Getting all of the material, you won't even recognize if you have taken that class or not. Okay? So the one thing that will stay with you, though, is confidence. So when you graduate with a degree in computer science and someone comes to you and they say, we need something programmed, you may not know how to do it. You may have forgotten how to do it. But you'll know that you're the person who has to do it. And you'll sit down and you'll learn how to do it. And that confidence will stick with you. Next one, this is a good question. Does GPA matter? No, it doesn't. Okay, so we're going to start with the answer of no, and then I'm going to add some clarification to it. Okay, so in general, the answer is no.
For the first 2 years.
First asterisk on the bottom. If your GPA is super high, now what's super high? Super high is 3.85, 3.9, and 4, then your GPA matters because you're going to differentiate yourself from other people. If your GPA is super low, that's also not going to work in your favor. Most people's aren't. What's super low? Let's say you're in the 2s, or maybe you're in the 1s. Congratulations. And the people who are going to care about that number particularly are going to be these lovely people, the HR screeners. So basically, so you have a job and you need to fill it. And your job as an HR person is to get someone to sit in a chair, and you pay them money and they put code out the other end. But there's a bunch of people who want to sit in that chair, and they've never met any of them. So you give them your resume. And the only thing they can do for differentiating you is to flip through them really fast and look at quantitative numbers like your GPA. So they'll weed you out. But the thing is, if you get an actual interview where you're sitting down with a person, at that point, your GPA no longer matters. They're not going to say, wait a minute, did you get a 3.45 or a 3.46? And you'll never hear it, importantly, you'll absolutely never hear, what's your GPA out of a startup, okay? You don't walk up to someone and say, yeah, no, excuse me, only 3.5 and above here. It just doesn't work. And the last one's an obvious one, grad school. So they do look at your GPA, believe it or not. And there's a hack here, and this is a really beautiful one. Let's say your GPA was totally shit. It totally sucked, okay? You can wiggle your way into grad school, okay?
Get a 4.0.
In undergrad, you had to work really hard to get A's. In grad school, you have to work really hard to not get B's. Okay? So to get grades lower than a B, you have to really mess up. Because the professors, they don't care. They don't care at all. It's totally cool for them to just write,
You're so right.
Yeah, whatever, B. Okay? So, you're going to have a GPA that's around a B. So if you have a bad GPA, go to grad school and then put that on your resume.
He's right. He's right. That was my strategy.
Okay, next one, your hireability. Okay, so this is basically if,
It reads,
if you
your
gave
skill,
someone
how
a
likable you
resume
are.
today, what are the things that they're going to be looking at?
School.
So the first one is your skill.
Past
And
companies, past
slightly
achievement, and your
non-obvious
passion.
here. How many people have the skill that you have? And the lower that number is, the better the situation is for you. Okay? So, and then the next thing is, how much does the world need the skill that you have? So if you know, let's say, how to crochet really well, that's probably not going to help you in the tech industry. Okay? Next one is personality or how likable you are. So after you get hired, you're going to be sitting in a chair, there's going to be people around you. And believe it or not, people don't like to work with assholes. Okay? They do like to work with people that are fun. Okay? People that have a good time, share similar interests. So how likable you are. And I know that there's a general kind of, you know, who here has seen Silicon Valley, the TV show? A lot of us, right? And so they like to portray us as being, you know, we don't really in the eye, as having some sort of social disease. But the truth is, if you do have a social disease, you can work on it and become more likable. I've seen amazing transformations of people who are severe introverts become people that people actually want to hang out a lot with. The next thing, and this one sucks, I'm just saying it ahead of time. So your hireability is going to increase based on if the school you went to had a good football team. It's not my rule, but it's true. So what this translates into is basically, if your school has a good football team, then when you write it on your resume, the HR people are going to say, Notre Dame? Yeah, you went to Notre Dame. Why? Because they have a good football team, right? So the second thing is the colleges rank on U.S. News and World Reports. That's the other thing that's going to matter with respect to the school that you went to. But the important thing, if you don't go to one of those schools, don't worry about it. You can mess up literally every single one of these things, but try to get one of them right, and your hireability will be pretty high. Next one, who you know or your network. You'll find yourself, as I did, at some point in your life saying, God, I wish I knew more people. Who wishes they knew more people? Okay, the whole room. That's amazing. Okay, so bottom right-hand corner, how to do it. It's right here. I'll read it to you. So first, it's going to take some time. Identify a person that you actually want to meet, that you want to have a type relationship with, and research them. Then become friends with their friends. Okay? All right, you see where I'm going with this. You didn't go through the front door, you went through the back. Okay? So you become friends with their friends. How do you do that? Stalk them on Facebook. Come on, this is easy. You guys are and if you're successful at it, you can get a warm introduction to the person that you actually want to meet.
Wow.
And when you do, when you get that first FaceTime with that person, don't start with asking them for something. Start with offering to give them something, okay? So if you do that, what that means, here, you're going to volunteer to work for free for them. You heard it in the first talk. The guy said, if you answer our phones, we'll let you in, right? So if you volunteer that ahead of time, it puts them in a situation where they want to help you afterwards. Guaranteed way to get a job. I've seen this work over and over again. If you actually do this, I'm putting the word guaranteed there because it is guaranteed. Okay, so here's the algorithm. Ready? Step one, show the company what you can do. Build something. Build something that is useful for that company, uses the company's name, etc., etc. Then show it to them. And when you say, this is something I made, I want you guys to take a look at it, and they say, no, go away, we don't want to offer you a job, just don't take no for an answer. So this is just a while loop here. So you're just going to loop over this until you get the job, and I guarantee you're going to get it.
Well, there you have it.
So, for anyone who's not part of the tech industry in the programming sense, the thing that I want to get everyone on the same page about, right now there's only 2 requirements to be a programmer. They are number 1, and I'll probably have to read this to you if you're not a programmer, which is 1, the ability to read, and number 2, the ability to think logically. So these two things I think most of us accomplish by the time we were in about maybe 4th or 5th grade. We had pretty good reading level and we could think pretty logically. And shout out to our friend Stack Overflow, which is basically doing your job for you. Okay? So let's be honest.
It's like top 15 most visited site in the world.
All right, real quick industry things. So number one, when you think about moving here, there are going to be people and they're going to say, you can't go to California, it's too expensive. And you're going to say, this line, yes, San Francisco is more expensive, but you know what? The jobs pay more. Okay, that's the thing that everyone forgets. Okay, so your cost of living is offset by the inflation from your salary. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Sorry, New York, Los Angeles, etc. Your tech industry can't compete, and it won't. Okay. If you don't believe this, then spend the next 10 years of your life in one of these cities before you realize that you should have came out here. And I'm only saying that because that's what I did. Okay? Mine was Chicago, was up across there. And on the bottom here, so what they'll say is, you know, we're the Silicon Valley of whatever. And for every one success that they have, there will be 5 or 10 of those same scale successes here. Okay, so if you want to be in the tech industry, you have to be here. I need to say this just because I've heard it from talking to college kids. They're like, are there jobs? Will I be able to get a job? Yes, there's a huge demand for developers. Absolutely, absolutely huge. Asterisk, especially mobile developers.
For real.
If you walk into a room full of companies and you say, hey, does anyone know a mobile developer? Everyone will turn and laugh at you because they're killing each other to try to get mobile developers. So now's a good time to learn iOS. Okay, shout out to iOS.
Android makes no
risk
money.
is proportional to reward. Okay, so a lot of people have a question, should I join a large company or a small company? And here's a general kind of rule. So as the risk associated with what you're doing goes up, so does the potential reward. And the reverse is true as well. So if you join a large company, you definitely have job security, you're going to have a pretty high paying salary. It's going to be pretty low risk. Because it's low risk, it's also going to be low reward. So you don't expect to be, you know, sign up for Google today, the employee number 50,001, and come out a billionaire. It just doesn't work that way, okay? Startups, the reverse problem is true. So startups are high risk, but they're also high potential rewards. Last 2 points. So a lot of people here, myself, etc., will give you advice. And sometimes advice is competing. You guys all have moms and dads, and they'll say, oh, do this, you should do that. My mom said, don't make a startup company. My mom said, you know, all of these types of things. But the truth is, to take advice from people who are in a position you would like to be in. This is where people get their advice from. So if you listen to me, I'm telling you how roughly to be successful in the startup space. If I talk to my mom, it's how to be a nurse. If you talk to a serial entrepreneur, it's how to be a serial entrepreneur. This is where people talk from. And that's how you should gauge whether or not you should pay attention to the advice or not, if you want to be in the position that they were. One of the other speakers today is Max Levchin. And Max is the founder of PayPal. And in probably about 2005, Max gave me a piece of advice. And the piece of advice he said was, the first thing you have to do is move to California. And I didn't follow him or this line, and I stayed in Chicago. And that was not the right move. And so you should follow this one as well. I'm going to end with a quote.
That's long.
And this one, try to embody this. I guarantee you'll be successful. Okay. And when you discover what you will be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. Does anyone know who said that? Martin Luther King. All right. Thank you, everybody.